What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing well. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving this past week. I also want to wish y'all an early Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. 'Tis the season, right? I wanted to get right into it and start off and give a big salute to all of you. We just recently surpassed the 4,000 subscriber milestone, and that is just so awesome. I never thought we would get here. I wasn't sure what to expect doing these videos. By far, we are not the largest O-Gauge channel out here on YouTube. However, I will say I do believe we have the best group of people here on this channel. You guys blow me away every day with your generosity and kindness. I'm always amazed by it. I hope you guys are enjoying the channel as much as I'm enjoying having you here on the channel. It's a lot of fun. And like I say, that's what this channel has been all about. I'm not a professional, I'm not a videographer, as I've said in the past. This has kind of turned into another hobby. I do set myself one rule with doing these videos, and that one rule is I have to have fun with the video that I'm shooting. I feel like if I'm not having fun shooting the video or film, whatever you want to call it, then I'm not putting out that great of a product. However, in that same token, there really is a science to this YouTube thing, and I can't say I figured it out. I'm sure some other YouTubers can relate. Sometimes, I'll get an idea in my head that sounds really good, and it should be a good video. And I'll start working on that video and putting it together. However, halfway or partway through, I'm not enjoying it, or it's just not turning out how I want it to. So I'll abandon the project altogether and shoot something else. Usually I'll come back to that thought or idea later on down the road and come at it from a different angle or direction, and usually it's good. But also, too, some videos it seems I'll pour my heart and soul into and what I think is a good video, and I'll upload it, and I don't want to say it flops, but it doesn't do necessarily as good as I thought it would. On the other hand, sometimes I feel like I kind of throw a video together, and that video will do very well and take off. Like I say, there's definitely a science to it. I guess I just haven't figured it out. But we're learning together, right? With Christmas coming up, this obviously means the end of the year is coming up as well. I did want to take a quick minute and reflect on this past year. This last year has been a pretty big year for myself as well as the channel here. Obviously, we've gotten quite a bit of new pieces of equipment, engines and rolling stock, as well as some new accessories and all kinds of good stuff. On top of that, we've obviously completely dismantled and rebuilt the whole first layout. It took us roughly, six to 8 months, I think it was? But we did get a lot accomplished in that short amount of time. No, it's not perfect, but I am extremely happy with it and how it's turned out. On top of that, we've also completely disassembled and have started rebuilding the second layout behind us. This is going to be a whole big project. This seems to be a very popular video series on the channel. A lot of people are very interested and curious to see how this second layout goes. I did want to add, as I've said in the past, I know a lot of people are eager to see it, more videos on it and see it grow. However, as I've mentioned before, this is going to take us quite a long time, probably a couple of years. I simply just do not have a money tree out back and a whole ton of spare time, believe it or not. So we're going to take it slow and enjoy the ride as we go. It will get there, guys. It's not going anywhere. I would have to say, though, the highlight of this past year has been this utterly amazing gift that I received from a patron of the channel here. For those of you that remember, as well as those of you who are new to the channel, a while back, someone here on the channel sent me an amazing gift, which turned out to be this beautiful Lionel S1 engine and passenger set. This person left me a gift in the form of a check to go towards a purchase of a high-end legacy engine. And as you can see, this is the one we went with. I've been dying to do a video on this engine and set. However, I've been waiting on a couple more pieces to come in from Lionel. I don't want to do a halfway done video, if you know what I mean. We're waiting on the Station Sounds Diner car, as well as the Legacy command set to completely operate this engine at 100%. Yeah, I'm already way late to the party on doing a video on this one. But like I say, I want to do the video in its entirety with everything here and being able to operate this engine at 100%. I'm still completely blown away by this gift. I'm sure as you guys can tell in the videos, this engine and set hardly ever leave the rails. It's been running on the rails since it got here, and it's been a great performer. On a personal note, I did start a new job this past year, back in April, May, that time period. I left my previous job that I had been with for quite a while. However, I was becoming quite miserable in the position that I was in. So I was able to leave and start a new job. That is one bit of advice if I could give anybody at the moment. If you're miserable at your current place of employment, the job market is way too saturated out there to continue being miserable at your current place. And as I say, I'm much less stressed. I'm a lot more happier. I took a tiny bit of hit on the money front, but it's been well worth it. I just don't come home and want to down a bottle every night, if you know what I mean. And as I say, this year was very big for the channel as well. I was able, for the most part, to stick to my goal of putting out one video a week. There were a few weeks where I wasn't able to. However, the following week I would make up for it and upload 2 videos. So like I say, we stuck to that goal fairly well, I do believe. We did do a couple live shows this year. I know some people were really looking forward to that. I only did a couple, 2 or 3 of them, and they were a lot of fun. And I do look to do some more in the future. The live shows, it's kind of a different animal, of course. Obviously, you got to have a good chunk of time to devote to doing a live show. And the times that I do have available to do those, I don't think are prime or good times to be doing a live show, if you know what I mean. But we'll definitely be doing some more here in the future now that we're more set up for it. But anyways, guys, what do you say we get started with today's video? Let's start off with some updates. Unfortunately, I don't have a whole ton of updates to share with you at the moment, but I do have a couple good ones. One update I was hoping we would be talking about by now, but obviously we are not, is we're still waiting on the big boy to show up from NTH. We're going on a year now. The engine was supposed to be here back in August, I do believe it was. Seems to be the new theme with MTH. They keep making all these great announcements, but they're not delivering anything. Come on, MTH. Now, granted, I know the world situation at the moment. Shipping's a nightmare, getting chips and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't make the pain of waiting any easier, I guess you could say. We'll start off with one of our smaller updates, which happens to be over here on the first layout. A couple of you might remember several videos back I picked up a couple of these MTH iTads for our signal bridge that we have installed over here. I don't know if you can see it, but the outer line of the signal bridge is now lit up. Unfortunately, the other iTad I picked up was bad, and I just got it exchanged out for another one this past week. I got to get that one installed next. But yeah, it seems to be working and doing what it's supposed to. Let me pull the S1 up. You can see the signal go through its sequences. It does look like one of the bulbs on the signal is burned out, unfortunately, but we'll get that fixed or maybe just get a new head. Here comes the S1, and there goes the signal, as you can see. Pretty neat. The big update I've already spoiled. If you guys caught one of the last videos, you saw we got a new engine here to the layout in the channel. We did an unboxing video. I got myself an early Christmas present, as well as a little celebratory gift for hitting the 4,000 subscriber milestone here on YouTube. Of course, that engine is the MTH Great Northern Z6 Challenger. A real beautiful engine. I'm really looking forward to doing a video on this one coming up in the soon future. I do have one more fairly big update that I thought some of you might enjoy. I've taken the past week off of work for the holiday, as well as just I needed to take the time off, use it or lose it kind of situation. And I've been pretty busy here in the train room working on the second layout. I've got quite a bit accomplished this past week. If you guys saw the last couple community posts, or even the last running session video, you would have seen a couple sneak peeks of this update. As I say, I've been pretty busy on the second layout. I did go ahead and pick up some track, which we'll touch base on here in a moment. But let's take a look at what I've been up to. Now, please excuse the mess. As I've said before, the train room is a disaster in here building the layout. But if you can look past that, you can see I've begun construction on the second layer of the second layout. I've got the new elevated section placed, or reinstalled as it was before, back there along the back wall, as you can see. But yeah, we got the new elevated section placed back here. I've got 2x4 standoffs off of the main table. These are 8 inches in height. I've replicated the first layout for the height of the elevation. I went with 8 inches. I've designed both of these layouts now for an engine I don't have yet. However, I do plan on getting. I want to get a big scale GG1 and I want to ensure I can run that engine with the pantographs up and not have to worry about interfering with the upper level bridges and whatnot. So that's the reasoning for the height. We've used 3/4 inch particle board just as the main table or the main bench work. So the actual height of the elevated section is going to be 8 3/4 inches. It is a little high, and it looks a little goofy at the moment, but once we get our mountain work done and our walls and whatnot, I think it's going to look pretty good. You'll see I have some track work placed up around the top. This is just to get a rough idea. This is just me playing around. We've got a long ways to go before any track can be laid. I've got a lot of stuff that I want to do up top before we can place any track. And like I say, we'll go over the track here in just a moment. The big news, however, is here on the opposite side of the layout, we've had a mountain that's sprouted up. Check that out, guys. What do you think? I think it looks pretty damn cool. I'm pretty tickled with how it's come out. This is my first time doing this. And yeah, like I say, I'm pretty happy with it. No, it's not perfect, but I think it's going to come out pretty well. But yeah, I use the same principles starting out. The upper, highest level is the exact same thing as the opposite side of the layout. I got 8-inch long 2x4s supports holding that up. And then I've got a little island that started out as an island, a lower level of the mountain down here. As you can see, the mountain cascades down. We're going to have a house and some trees and stuff here in the mountain. And then we've got a nice rolling hill that'll be the driveway going up to the house and whatnot. But yeah, like I say, pretty cool. It was quite the experience building this. Quite a few hours have gone into it. As you saw in one of the community posts, possibly, I did scratch build some tunnel portholes on each side out of some foam. That was a lot of work. Quite a few hours going into that. Like I say, my first time around doing this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's been pretty fun. I've been watching a lot of modeling videos as well as other train channels here on YouTube to get ideas and whatnot. And this mountain was fairly easy to make. After I got the main bench work placed, the mountain side itself is built out of cardboard as well as plaster cloth. I used cardboard strips to make the skeleton or the frame, and then I just draped plaster cloth all over the cardboard. I'm going to have to do one more layer, I think, on the sides. It's still somewhat drying, but it's still a bit soft in some spots. I do plan on coming back. I need to pick up some Woodland Scenics rock molds. I want to do rock molds along the side of the mountain to form the mountain itself. And then, of course, we still got to paint it and all that kind of good stuff. For the tunnel portholes, as I say, these were built out of 3/4 inch foam. I picked up an X-Acto knife and some dental tools and spent many hours cutting out all the different bricks as well as the cement lining the tunnel openings and all that kind of good stuff. Once that was done, I got it painted up. I'm really happy with how it turned out. The one thing I'm not overly thrilled with is the smoke stains up top. I think those could have come out a little bit better. But again, it's a learning process. It is what it is. As you can see, we are going to have to expand off the layout a tiny bit with some foam. It's the one downside of this particular layout. Obviously, I was trying to conserve as much room here in the train room as I could, so our outer line is running right on the edge of the table itself, and there's just no way I could get away from that. Give me your guys' opinion. What do you think? Should I build some foam out to support that side of the tunnel porthole and then obviously build the mountain off of, or should I just lop that off and leave it? I'm leaning more towards just saying the hell with it and adding the foam and get it over with. We still got enough room for my big rear to get through here. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now for the track itself, like I say, I hemmed and hawed over it quite a bit for a little while. The original plan or thought was to have an upper deck installed with 054 curves. As I say, that was the original intent. But after I got everything set up here on the second layout, I've really started thinking about installing an upper line with 072 curves. As you guys know, we've been getting real hot and heavy and big into the monstrous size engines and equipment that require 072 curves. So I started pondering and looking into that. I was going to go that route, however, there was one thing that really kind of stopped me. Well, two things really. I could obviously install 072. The downside of that was that upper loop was going to be basically following this bottom loop the entire length of the layout. I thought that wouldn't look that great, or it kind of looked a little bit tacky. It wasn't something I was looking to do. The second part, and what actually steered me away from it, is the bridge here in the background. I love this MTH bridge, and it is getting reinstalled back on the layout. If I were to install 071 or 072 curves on the layout up on the top, I wouldn't be able to utilize or use this bridge anymore. There's just no way I could do a dog bone in this amount of space to get back to that track or that bridge. So that it just wasn't going to work. And 054 curves became available to me, and that's what we went with. We're going to install 054 up top as originally planned. Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. I'm not going to be able to run the monstrous engines up top, but it is what it is. I mean, you got to make some sacrifices. And like I say, I love this bridge. I've got a few bucks invested into it. I absolutely want to use it. I don't want to get rid of it or sell it. I think it adds a lot to the layout. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for updates. Like I say, not a whole lot at the moment. I wish I had more for you, but it is what it is for the time being. We do have some stuff on pre-order, some rolling stock, but I'll wait till they get here before we go over them. And I've discussed them previously. I don't want to talk about them too much and jinx them like the big boy. They might never show up, right? What do you say we go ahead and move on with our Q&A? I want to give everybody a big thank you that participated in the Q&A. I did a community post last week or the week prior. And like I say, I want to thank everybody that posted their questions. Let's go ahead and get started. The first one I want to do is by far the most popular question here on the channel. I've seen this question and or statement in just about every video, every other community post. I've been emailed on it. I've even been talked to in person about it. It's kind of become an inside joke between me and close friends and family. I feel kind of bad because obviously, luckily, and thankfully we have new people coming to the channel every day. I'm very appreciative of it. But this one's kind of running me ragged, if you will. But this question and or statement is, you know what would be cool? Have you ever thought of? Do you plan on? Don't you think? What you really should do, are you planning on? And can you join the two layouts with a bridge in between them? And absolutely, yeah, I could. But no, I'm not going to. Like I say, I see this in just about every video. I do appreciate the thought. Originally, when I put up this second layout, that was the thought and the plan back when we had just 042 track work. However, we've upgraded to this 072 track work. It would be such a major pain to try and connect these two with bridges. I don't know if you guys can tell the space back here, but the bridge it would take to span that, yeah, that would not be an easy task. It would be pretty bulky and it wouldn't be a good look. Yeah, I could much easier up here. That wouldn't be that hard at all. But in the back, no, I just don't see it being feasible. Not only that, but I also think about it from a safety standpoint. This door is our closest exit and or entry point from our bedroom. God forbid one night, if the house caught on fire or was ablaze or whatever have you, we had to get out of here real quick. I like knowing we can get through to this exit as quick as we need to. I don't want to have to fight a bridge or track work or any other stuff like that. And people have said, oh, we'll just install, a lift bridge. You know how big that bridge would be? No, I'm good. And on top of that, we've not completed, but you guys know what I mean. We've completed just about this first layout. I'm not looking to rip it back up and redo everything. So like I say, no, that's not going to happen. Again, I do appreciate the thought. Yeah, it does sound cool. It would be a neat idea, but no, it's not going to happen. That's definitely the most popular question here on the channel. If we ever do merch here on the channel, we're definitely incorporating that into a shirt somehow, some way. Will you join the two together? Again, I know we have new people coming every day to the channel, which I'm very appreciative of. But yeah, I see that question every day, and it's getting to the point now whenever I see it, it's just, oof. Now that we've answered it, we might lose half the audience, but do stick around. We have quite a bit of good questions here. Pull up a drink and join me, won't you? Alright guys, our next question is, what are my thoughts on a ceiling layout or a loop around the ceiling of the room, and would I ever consider adding one to the train room here? Well, of course, I think they're awesome. It's always cool to see those. You don't see a whole lot of them having trains running around the ceiling. If I didn't have room for a layout, I would definitely be looking into doing that. I can't say it's something I would immediately run towards. Obviously, I like my layouts, so that's what I would go for. But again, if I didn't have the room, yeah, I'd definitely be looking at that. Will I be adding one to the train room here? I'm a bit beyond that point. There's no really easy way to access the back over there now, or in the layout. So no, it's not going to happen here. But again, if I didn't have the layouts here, yeah, I'd definitely have something like that more than likely. That one kind of leads into our next one, talking about access here on the layout. This is another one I see that's pretty popular. I see it in quite a few of the videos. And that question is, did I, or why didn't I, install a access hatch or port here on the layout to access the middle of the layout? And to be honest, it just was never a thought. And it's never really been a need. I'm usually able to access everything I need to from the front. I can access from the sliding door that you see in the background, as well as the window over here. I've been able to do everything that I've needed to without needing an access hatch. There have been times where, yeah, it's a little bit troublesome, maybe very, very, very rarely an engine will derail or maybe lose connection or something in the back. But it's usually hooked up to a train, so I just grab that train and pull it back. Like I say, derailments are very infrequent, I guess you could say here. It doesn't happen very, very often. Usually I catch it before it gets to the back, but if it does happen, it is what it is. I'll go through the window or the door. Really, the only time I need to access anything, because everything's glued and secured down, is just for dusting. And we've got one of those big, long Swiffer dusters. Again, I just come in through the front or the sides to dust stuff. That's really all I ever really need to do. And you might say to that, well, what if a bulb or something like that burns out? Well, honestly, if that bulb burns out, it's going to be burnt out. I don't envision this layout being here for 20 years. I keep saying, it's here, and it is going to be here for a while. But you guys know me by now. This thing will probably be ripped up again in a couple of years, and I probably won't have enough time for a light to burn out. You can't see it, but in that back corner back over here, there is a light bulb out. That radar tower back there, or that beacon, I guess I should say, the light bulb burned out in that. I do have enough access between the wall and the layout. I can reach up and grab it. I just haven't crawled my big ass under the layout to go get it yet. Our next two questions come from the same subscriber. The first question is, what got me into trains and model railroading? And I went over this in the 2000 sub celebration. My grandmother is the reason for this damn obsession. Back when I was a kid many years ago, Grandma took me to the Lionel's Visitor Center that was in Michigan. And seeing that layout, I was drooling over it all day. I fell in love with it. We picked up movies and stuff like that, and I just was drawn towards it. My parents got me my first starter set, a Lionel starter set, and it grew from there, which we'll touch base on here in a moment. Their second question is, can we see the big boy toys out in the garage? Yeah, absolutely. If that's something you guys would be interested in seeing, it'd be kind of nice to break up the monotony of trains. As much as I love them, they're not my entire life, if you will. The garage is somewhat of a forgotten life, it seems like nowadays. But absolutely, we can go out there. There's not really anything out there much to see. We can check that out one time. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below if that's something you'd like to see. The next question is, are there any certain year or era legacy engines to stay away from? I'm not really the one to answer this. I'm not really the Lionel aficionado of the modern stuff. I will say, from what I've heard and from experience, there is one I've learned, I guess, to stay away from. I don't know if you can see it, but in our yard back here, I do have an earlier legacy Lionel SD70 Ace. It does still work. The smoke unit gave out, and I believe they were still calling it the Odyssey system at this time. This is in 2011. But the speed control system in that engine seems to have given out. It's either that or a motor. Like I say, it still runs, but doesn't run good. And from what I've heard, that's a very common issue with that era engine. Like I say, that one's from 2011. Smoke unit's out, and nor the speed control or motor is out. It hasn't been high on the priority list to get fixed, so I'm not sure 100% what's going on with it. But that's one thing I've heard to stay away from, and I guess I've learned. As I say, I'm not really the Lionel aficionado of modern stuff, but I can tell you there is a certain era of MTH product that you kind of want to stay away from. It's not completely bad, but you want to stay away from the 2000 to 2003, I believe it is, MTH engines. These engines came with the ProtoSound 2 5-volt system, and these boards are known to going bad. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I do have a 5-volt system engine here in the train room. It's actually my first big boy engine, and yeah, luckily it's still going, knock on wood. I don't know when it's going to go out, but like I say, it's not really a matter of if, it's more when. The crappy thing with this though, MTH made a couple engines only during this time period, such as the Premier Y6B. So if you get an MTH Premier Y6B, it's going to have that 5-volt system. Again, it's not a complete deal breaker for the right price. As long as you know that going into purchasing it, keep it in mind that you're more than likely going to have to replace the system that's currently in it. Either swap it over to ERR or Lionel system, or upgrade it to Proto Sound 3. Our next question is one that I'm pretty flattered by. I get this one a few times. That question is, do I make my own train display shelves or do I buy them pre-made? And I do make these. I make these myself. I've been asked quite a few times if I would build them for other people, and I'm quite flattered that you guys think they look that good. But to be honest, I'm not in the shelf building business. I've got enough stuff around here to keep me busy, if you know what I mean. But these are pretty cheap and easy to make. I want to say this is built out of pine. It's very cheap 1x4 wood, purchased from the local Home Depot. And then obviously I just screw it all together. It's nice. I gotta have a chop saw to cut everything. You don't have to, but it makes life a hell of a lot easier. But yeah, it's just 1x4 wood chopped up on the chop saw and then screwed together. I do stain it. I forget the stain that I have. It's out in the garage. It's got a nice dark color to it. But I'm glad that you guys think they look that good. I do appreciate it. Thank you. The next two questions come from the same subscriber. The first one is, what was my first train set? To be honest, I don't exactly remember what my first one was. My first sets were HO. Like I say, I don't remember the first one, but I do remember this little Santa Fe F3 being one of the first. Obviously, I still have this one, but I know it's not the first. I can somewhat vaguely remember riding on the Canadian Pacific, being from Michigan. Grandma took me up to Canada once, and they had a little gift shop, and I know she got me a little HO set of the F3 that we rode on in the passenger set. But of course, that was so long ago. I still have this Santa Fe one. But my first train-related experience, or my first experience with model trains and or model railroading, is this little steamer that you see here on the tracks. This one belonged originally to my great uncle, it was then passed down to my father. Back when I was a kid, this engine, along with a little Mark's tin plate army train, I remember vividly playing with these as a kid. Of course, this one, I gotta find a screw for it. I do have the drive rod that you can see is missing, which I still have on the shelf, but I gotta find a screw because the screw fell out that holds it to the wheels. Cool little engine, very barbaric. Doesn't have a reversing unit. Like I say, it's a Lionel Scout engine. You just turn it on and it goes. Like I say, not necessarily the coolest piece in the world, but I'm happy to have it. Kind of a fairly heirloom, if you will. My personal first O-gauge set was this little Lionel starter set with that little New York Central steamer. I do still have it. The reversing unit went out many years ago, and the rail sounds tender the sounds gave out many years ago. But like I say, that was my very first O-gauge engine set that my folks got me. Soon after was my big boy engine, or my first engine. That was that Rail King Union Pacific Alco. Which you see here in the picture. We actually still have it here on the shelves. This is actually the engine that I was talking about with the 5-volt system in it. Luckily, it's still running. This one doesn't see a whole lot of track time that much anymore. It's one of those engines that does look good with both the post-war as well as the modern engines, but like I say, I just don't run it that much. I'm too enthralled with the newer scale stuff. But of course, it's not going anywhere. Their second question is, what was the first engine or train that I ever saw? And this is another one, honestly, I really couldn't tell you. Growing up in the Ann Arbor, Michigan area, if I had to venture to guess, it was probably a GP35 or something along those lines. I do vividly remember once again growing up in Michigan seeing the 1225 Berkshire. We went and saw that one year, which was pretty awesome. But yeah, if I had to guess, I'd take a poke at both of those two. The next couple come from the same subscriber as well. Their first question is star or bus wiring. Me personally, I use star wiring. I've got distribution blocks under the layouts. The transformers feed the TIUs, which go out to the distribution blocks and then feed different sections of the track. I don't have any of it isolated or anything like that. It's all connected. I know a lot of people go back and forth on this. You know, bus wiring's better for this, star wiring's better for that. I just keep it simple. Like I say, star wiring's worked very good for me. I haven't noticed any issues. Both of my TMCC as well as DCS and now Legacy engines have been operating for the most part with no complaints. The new Legacy engine does have a little bit of a hiccup. I don't know if it's due to the system itself or the engine itself, but that's something we'll touch base on in another video. Their next question is, do I have Legacy or TMCC hooked up to the DCS? And as I just said, and as you can see, yes, I do currently have TMCC set up with the DCS, and it is hooked in. I've actually got TMCC on both layouts with two TIUs hooked up together. The second layout is actually set up as the main hub, or as the main DCS number one system. Forget their exact terminology. But yes, we got TMCC and DCS hooked up on both layouts. Are there any lessons learned with wiring is their last question. I guess the one I could say is keep it clean and simple. And snip the wires, I don't want to say short, but don't leave excess wiring under the layout. Leave a little bit for if you need to make changes in the future. But if you've got miles of wiring under the table, you're not doing the engines any good trying to get their signals. I guess that would be the best thing that I could say. I might ruffle a couple feathers with this next one, but bear in mind, these are my own personal thoughts and opinion. Everybody's differs. Yours might differ from mine. The question is, what are my thoughts on train clubs? I'm not opposed to them by any means, and if that's what you enjoy, by all means, all the power in the world to you. They're not really something I go for. I think there was a time and a place for them. I mean, I don't know what to say. I guess what I could say is, like my buddy Tony, who does Roundhouse South Trains down in Port Orange or Daytona, Florida, they do a train club meet once a month. It's during the week, and being a 2-hour hike, I can't really go. If I was closer or local, I would definitely go to it. Probably not every week, though, to be honest with you. But for like the big train clubs or like the TCA and stuff like that, I think there was a time and a place for them. And I think that time has passed, to be completely honest with you. If you want to go there for the camaraderie and making friendships and stuff like that, like I say, all the power in the world to you. But with the invention of the internet and all that kind of good stuff, I don't really see a place for them anymore. Does that make sense to you? I mean, you used to join the TCA, you'd get all kinds of special deals, certain products that might not have been released to the public and stuff like that, but in this day and age, it's a bit barbaric. And again, I'm somewhat of a hermit myself. I'm not really a big people person, if you guys can believe that or not. I don't go out clubbing or partying or anything like that. I love seeing you guys and communicating with you, but I don't go out of my way to go hang out with people and do that kind of stuff. I get my train fix here on YouTube and seeing what others are doing out here on YouTube. I hope that makes some kind of sense. Like I say, I'm not against train clubs, but they're not really for me or my thing. I've had people ask me to join. We've got a club local here in Jacksonville. I've had a couple people reach out to me, but it's just not something that really interests me. You know what I mean? Our next one's a pretty good one as well. I got to give it to you guys. You've come up with some really good questions this go around. That question is, what or who inspires me for layout design? I can't really give any one person or layout any credit. I kind of take it from anywhere that I can, or absorb as much info as I can. I will say, growing up, when we went to the Lionel's Visitor Center in Michigan many years ago, we did pick up a DVD when we visited there. It was a century of Lionel trains. Obviously, this was put out back in 2000. We picked it up in the early 2000s or so. But in that movie, it's a great movie. If you ever get a chance to view it, by all means do. It was narrated by Tom Snyder. I want to say it was put out by TM Books, something to that effect. But obviously it was a century of Lionel trains. They went through the whole century, 1900 to 2000. I will say it was mainly based on the post-war period. That was where the main bulk of the film was directed at, which I understand. But during that film, or in that film, I guess I should say, they had the space age layout. It was a super old layout, late 50s, early 60s. That layout really spoke to me. Had an elevated section like I always seem to do, and of course had the main deck like all layouts would. Had a lot of operating accessories. It was just a beautiful layout. I really like that layout, and I kind of try to rekindle that if I can in my layouts. I did do some research looking into who built that layout or where it came from, but I didn't really come up with a whole lot. And again, it wasn't really necessary. But like I say though, for modern ideas and tips and tricks, YouTube really fills the void. There's so many model railroaders in all different scales that put out so much great stuff. It's just endless. Whenever I see something I like or I enjoy, I'll try and use it and add my own touch or my own flair. And that's usually what ends up happening here on my own personal layouts. There is one I want to say that really stands out, and if I could make one of my layouts half the layout that this gentleman has, I would be more than content. But that would be Norm's Trains here on YouTube. Give him a little bit of a shout out. This gentleman has an absolutely beautiful, beautiful layout. Super, super ultra realistic. It's just spectacular. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Like I say, it's one of those ultra realistic layouts, not really a toy train layout. But I love it. I think it's awesome. And like I say, if I could make my layout half of what he has, yeah, I'd be happy. But yeah, go check him out. He doesn't seem to have a whole lot of layout videos per se, mainly, trains running and stuff like that, not really a layout overview. I did bug him once asking for a layout overview. Hopefully we'll get that in the future, because like I say, it's absolutely gorgeous. The next one kind of caught me off guard. Not really sure how to answer this one, but we'll give it a shot. The question is, what's my biggest model train goal that I would like to accomplish? Again, like I say, I'm not really sure how to answer this one. I mean, I guess the main goal is to have fun. This is a hobby after all. This is my little escape from everyday life. But if we want to break it down a little bit more, I guess build the best layout that I can to my capabilities. But like I say, it kind of goes hand in hand, having as much fun as you can and enjoying it, and building to the best of your capabilities. I will say it was always somewhat of a little bit of a dream of mine to someday own and operate a hobby shop. I do still think that would be pretty cool, but I believe in this day and age it's pretty far-fetched. You'd have to compete with online sales and already established hobby stores. Kind of a dog-eat-dog world. You definitely got to be in it for the fun, not for the money. And we did used to have a hobby shop that was actually here local. It's 20 minutes down the road. But the market's spoken. They did have trains, but not a whole lot of people were interested, at least in our area. So they were kind of forecasted to the back aisleways, kind of a forgotten thing. Really, when I was in there talking to one of the guys, the only reason they still had them was because the owner was big into trains. Their main seller, or their big item, were RC cars and RC airplanes. That was their bread and butter. So like I say, the market around us is kind of spoken. That hobby shop went out of business. Yeah, there's a few of us that rant and rave and would love to see another one, but the couple of us that would love to see it wouldn't be enough to make it come to fruition or make it something that would last. That would be awesome though. If I had endless amounts of money and time, I'd be all over it. Tony, you still listening? When are you going to bring a Roundhouse North? I'm your guy. But no, in all seriousness, yeah, that would be pretty cool. And I guess you could put that as a goal, but like I say, I don't ever really see that happening. Alrighty guys, we made it. Last question. I'm not going to go super detailed or intricate into this one or answering this one. It would take quite a while. The question is, can we see all of the motive power engines here in the train room and on the layout? I'm going to upload a couple pictures so you guys can see them. But if I were to go into detail or describing them all, we'd be here for forever. And this video is already long enough. But I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope this answered some of your questions. I knew this was going to be a long one. We started in the daylight, and as you can see, it's now pitch black outside. These poor trains behind me sure did get a workout today. My voice is kind of feeling it today now, too. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I do, once again, a big thank you to each and every one of you. I can't believe we've made it this far. I do greatly appreciate it. A big salute to all of you. We do have a lot of plans for videos coming up in the future. I've got some ideas. And as I always say, if there's something you want to see or a video on, please comment below, let me know. I'm always looking for ideas on stuff that you guys want to see. But anyways, guys, I've taken enough of your time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Until next time, guys, my name is Zach, and this is Country Bunkers Trains. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-round.